This side, boys, yeah, boys are coming here, girls are coming here. Boys are coming here, girls are coming here. Ask them and name the class.
Okay, shall we start?
You want me to...
వందేహం గణనాయకం చిత్రరత్న విచిత్రాంగం చిత్రమాలా విభూషితం కామరూపధరం దేవం వందేహం గణనాయకం అంబికా హృదయానందం మాతృ పరివేష్టితం భక్తప్రేమోన్మత్తం వందేహం గణనాయకం సర్వవిఘ్నహరం దేవం సర్వవిఘ్నవివర్జితం సర్వసిద్ధిప్రదాతారం వందేహం గణనాయకం. Hi. May I request that you all come in here and sit so you can benefit from the puja that's being conducted now. We are doing puja first to Narayana. Tulasi, will you please hand out the papers to the people so they know what's going on, ma? Thank you.
Emergency. What do you want me to do?
You can video, eh? I'll pay you. Go there and sit, kadre.
Okay.
And she cleans it, center Annapurna ഒരു പഴം വേണം അത് കുത്തി വെക്കാൻ. కొంచెం పువ్వాల ఎదలు మారి just take some photos and put it archana Sri Tulsi Narayana Tulsi Narayana archana Tulsi Narayana Tulsi Narayana. Feeding.
you can stay here. I'll take the things and go to the office.
ഇതിപ്പോ ഡ്രസ്സിംഗ് ഇല്ല, ഇതിപ്പോ പ്രയർ ടു வெட்டிங் பூஜை. உங்ககிட்ட பெர்மிஷன் கேட்கண்டாமா இது பண்றதுக்கு? இந்த மாதிரி விளையாட்டு பண்றோமே, பெர்மிஷன் கேட்க வேணாம் இல்லையா?
You need a little plate to fold like this. சின்னது போதும். சின்ன plate. எது இல்லை இது தெரியுது
அது அதாலும் பண்ணும். மங்களா கிடைச்சதுமா. சரி
I think this will finish off soon. இதோட சேர்த்து வச்சுக்கோங்க. See, the trick here is when you are giving her a bath, இப்படி நான் படிப்பேன். நீங்கள் அந்த தண்ணி ஊற்றுட்டு அந்த தண்ணி இலையில போய் இப்படி விழணும். Okay? So you give the bath, I will hold. இது போடணும். ஃபஸ்ட்டு மட்டும் ஒரு நிமிஷம். ஓம் ஸ்ரீ கந்தாய ஓம் ஸ்ரீ கந்தாய ஸ்வாஹா. Flowers. It's a good pepper. They don't know. Chinese. No, no. I'm sorry. Three times. Three times.
Brahma Vaivarta Puranam, Avishwata Puranam and all of that. She is called Tulasi and her husband is called Shankachuda. I'd like to see all of this. We're going to just stand here or maybe sit here. Is that okay? Then, see this way, I know whether you're paying attention. So our stories are like boxes. It's like a box as far as time is concerned. So it goes over several births. So it's like sometimes you open one of those gimmicky kind of boxes. You open a big box and then there is a smaller box, and you open that smaller box, there is still yet another smaller box, So then it's like that. Each birth is like a box, and so you move on from box to box. So the story goes that Dharmadwaja, King Dharmadwaja, briefly, okay? King Dharmadwaja for a long time didn't have any children, so he and his wife prayed very hard and did lots of upavasam and vratam. And finally, on Kartika Masa, which is the month right now, Wednesday, full moon night, this girl was born. Okay, very beautiful girl. There's a description of how beautiful she is. And they were very, very happy. And on the proper day, they invited all the rishis and friends and all. And they all came and looked at the baby. And they said, my goodness, her beauty has no comparison. She's so beautiful. So, she should be called Tulasi, meaning one that is whose beauty cannot be compared. You can't say she's as beautiful as this. You can't, because there is nothing else this to say. So that's why she was named Tulasi. Now from when she was small, this Tulasi, she would always do vratam for Narayana. She was a Narayana crazy girl. Okay, so and then she became a youngster. She made it a point, she convinced her parents that she has to continue this in a greater way, so she leaves her home, quite liberated, no? To be able to leave her home and go like that, She went to Badrikashram. And there, just like the way Parvati did tapas, she would eat only fruits for a while, then she would eat only leaves for a while, then she would drink only water for a while, and then when summer comes, she would stand in a desert area, which is horrible, right? The intensity of heat. And then when the rain comes, she would stand in the middle of the river and do her vratam. All for what? For one reason alone. She wants Narayana as her husband. This is it. Okay, finally, Brahma couldn't take it anymore. Anybody does tapas, it always goes to Brahma, because this is anything you do, even if you are an asura, you get what you deserve. If you work for it, you get it. According to Brahma, because his logam is Satya logam. The Satya logam does not see a criminal or a saint. Satyam is Satyam. Okay, so if you work for it, you will get it. So Brahma comes down, blesses her and everything, and says, I'm very pleased with your tapas. So ask what it is that you want. He already knows, but he says, ask what it is that you want. So she said, this is it. I want to be married to Narayana. So he said, you will get that, no question. You earned it. But there are some conditions for this. See, this shows us every time we have a desire, we always put forth a desire, but we don't always think about conditions. We don't think about the conditions, but the conditions already exist because we are moving from one birth to another birth. We have already put conditions in our previous birth. So that conditions today works in the form of karma. Okay, so we can't play around too much with it, even if we don't think about it, it happens. So he said these conditions are based on your previous birth. So he explains to who was she in her previous birth. Now, who she was during Sri Krishna's time in Vrindavana, she was a Gopastri, an ordinary Gopastri, but extraordinarily fond of Sri Krishna. Okay, but she never got the status of Radha. Okay, she never did get Radha status, but her love for Sri Krishna was not one iota less than Radha. Okay. So one time when all these Gopastris and Sri Krishna was having the Rasa Leela, she just fainted with the joy of dancing with Sri Krishna. So guess who comes up on the scene? Radha. She sees this lady who has swooned and thought, oh, some hanky-panky took place here, I think. So she cursed her. Now you may ask, now is that fair? Perhaps not, but do curses work? Depends on the one who curses. If an extremely integrated human being gets into a moment of cursing, that curse will work. Because usually whatever they say is true, because they hardly talk unnecessarily, and when they talk only when something is important and needs to be said. On top of it, if they have led very integrated lives, then whatever they say will happen. So Radha's curse was, may thou be born into the mortal world. So from that we have to infer that where they are at this level is not the mortal world. To say that may thou be, fall into the mortal world, meaning may you take a birth as a human being, we have to infer that this, what they are talking about, is not the level of where we are right now. This is a feature of the Purana. There are several worlds. Not only in times we travel from birth to birth, but also from world to world in the story you will be traveling, They'll go from one world to the other world with relative ease, because this has all to do with our subconsciousness. Okay? So she gets cursed, may you become fall into Matyaloka and be born as that means it's a demotion, to fall as a human being is a demotion, obviously. So she couldn't do very much. Simultaneously something else is happening. Okay? There is another Gopan, male Gopan, who has always seen this girl, this particular gopi, and from far fallen in love with her. But dare not tell her that I want to marry you. So he had this secret love for this girl, and that was Sudama, Kuchelan. Kuchelan was in love with this gopi, but never came out and admitted his love or anything, but see, that strong desire remained. One time when Sri Krishna was inside doing something important, and Kuchela was sitting outside the house in the veranda type of thing, Radha came there wanting to see Krishna. And now this Kuchela has noticed this Radha comes one too often to bother my friend. She kind of tends to dominate his time. So he kind of had to go over and he said, he's very busy right now, he can't see you. Kuchela said that. Well, Radha's not about to be told no. When she wants to see Krishna, she wants to see him. So another curse came in the way there. You talk to me like that? You also that's what you deserve. Go to Matyaloka. Now Kuchela started crying. He couldn't take it. So he went to Krishna and said, look, I tried to protect you from Radha, it didn't work. See, that's how I got landed with this curse. So please, do something about it. So Krishna went out and said he was speaking on my behalf. He was my agent there, so don't, can you do something to retract your curse? But you can't retract a curse. You can only modify it, that's all. So she said, okay, the curse will have its effect, but its final result will be good. He will be born in Matyaloka, but ultimately something good will come out of it. He will come back to you only, to Sri Krishna only, don't worry. So everybody is satisfied with those conditions, and we have to leave them at that point. Come to where this is what Brahma is telling this Tulasi. See, Tulasi, you have been having this desire from that birth. So now, these karmas interact, we have individual karmas, we have collective karmas too, and these collective karmas interact. So this is now, in order to attain Narayana, you have to go through some procedures. And one of which is you will have to marry Sudama, who is now here in this birth, right, in this world where you in the same plane, he is right now already born as a king called Shankachuda. So he has had entertained that desire, remember? This has to happen. And he already knows. Unlike you, he knows all his births. Sudama has that capacity. He knows all his births. So he is going to marry you. He wants to marry you. So kindly agree to that. Make things as smooth as possible. So she was pretty happy with that. She said, if that is the way I have to get Narayana, that's fine with me. Except, she said, I don't want you to forget, I don't want this 4-armed one. I want the 2-armed one. She specifically says that. So the two-armed one is none other than Sri Krishna. The four-armed one is Mahavishnu. This is her way of saying, I don't want that Vishnu Rupa. I want this Krishna Rupa. So Brahma said, so be it. Took off. So she comes back happily. She stays in Madrikashramam, and while she is there, Shankajuda comes and notices this beautiful girl, is drawn towards her, and there is a deep conversation how she tests his intentions, which I can't go. I think every young girl ought to read that. How do you test a young man's intentions? Very nicely put, very, very nicely put, you know. So after having tested him and everything, Tulasi agrees to marry him, and of course they get married in the Gandharva form of marriage, which is exchanging garlands with no priest, nobody there, okay? It's just a mutual consent, so that has happened before also. No. So, and particularly among the Kshatriyas, the ruling caste, this was common. So from that point on, Shankajuda spends many years with his wife and then returns to his palace to get back to his job which he had neglected, that's to be a king. And so as a king, what he did is, you see, once he has this wife, Tulasi, who is just extraordinary and chaste woman and a good woman, it gets to his head a little bit. And he starts acting out of touch because things are going very good in life. So when things are going good in life, you exercise some of your powers that you never knew you had. You want more of everything. You start feeling like grabbing a little more because you're a little bit arrogant with the power you have. This is what happens to Shankajuda. He becomes arrogant. And the moment he becomes arrogant, you're exhibiting asuric traits, you know. And so once he starts exhibiting these asuric traits, it becomes a problem for the devas because all their functions are being taken over by this asura. So they all go, you know, as an assembly to complain to Brahma. Brahma said, my job is only giving boons and stuff. I'm not involved. He hates to get involved. You'll never find a single story where Brahma fights. He's totally incapable of confronting. He just slinks away. He says, I cannot do this job. Then he says, let's go to Lord Shiva. So they go to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva says, look, I will not handle with this one. He's my bhakta. But I will help you in that I will send my messenger. And then Pushpananda is sent to him and said, stop all this activity you are doing. Be nice with the devas. It doesn't work. This is Shankajuda said, if you're going to complain about my asura traits, I can complain about you devas too. You always took everything that doesn't belong to you. From Amrita Madana days, you have been cheating us. So I would like to get even. It's my right to get a little even with you guys. So I also have a certain dharma. I don't want to tangle with you guys, but I have my dharma too that I have to maintain. Plus, if it means that I'm going to die at one of your hands, isn't that all the better? See, that's the one religion that will say that even by blaming God, if you constantly blame God, you're bringing God's name. No, there is no such a thing as blasphemy. You will attain God. Even by blaming God, you will attain God, but not the way somebody else will. It may be in a very terrible form, in a very harsh, painful form, but you will attain. You will attain. This is our philosophy. So it doesn't work, so they go to Vishnu. So Vishnu is very good. He knows, how and what to do things, how to get around and get things done. One manipulator, great manipulator. So Vishnu says, even though Shiva said that he will not do, he will help us, I know. So we got Shiva's help, and Vishnu said, this Shankajuda cannot be taken care of just easily. Why? He has something called a Vishnu Kavacham. Now you can look at it two ways. Kavacham means armor, but Kavacham is also a prayer. So suppose you are a person who has said that prayer and got siddha in that prayer, that means you are using your capacity with that prayer to do everything else. So the thing to do is to break the power what he has achieved. Okay? You could look at it two ways, otherwise take the armor away. Either way it would be correct. So we have to remove that kavacham. At the same time, break Tulasi's chastity, not fair in big capital letters. But this is what manipulators do. There is a methodology to achieve something. Sometimes these are the ways in the Puranas you will run into, fair or not, it happens. But remember, every action has to have a reaction. And everything we do has a result, and you will see. Vishnu also has to pay a price for what he did. His thought. He's not above his own laws. Huh? Again, as I say, when we talk in terms of transcendent, we have no room for all these differences. But when you take up immanent, in the level in which mythology is, there is room for the bigger characters to behave no different from us. But when we move up towards the transcendent philosophy, where we talk about Nirguna Brahman and all that, there is no room for all of this. Okay, there is room only when we come down to the level of immanent, where mythology is, and mythology helps our subconsciousness. That's what the whole purpose is to help our subconsciousness. So then they decide to do this. So he says we'll have to do it together. So he's told to Shiva, you engage him in battle. Don't actually do the battle, just do a mockery of a battle and engage, and I will take care of the other things. So what Lord Shiva does, he comes into the battlefield and gets into the motions of a battle, but not really fighting Shankachuda. Shankachuda leaves home for this battle. Tulasi gives him all this arati and everything, wishes him well. Lots of fear. She gets some kind of inauspicious sign, the story says, but she disregards it and he goes to the battlefield. And there what Vishnu does, he comes disguised as a Brahmana on the battlefield, asking for Bhiksha to a Maharaja, right? So he said, Bhiksham Devi. So Maharaja is very generous. No? So he said, ask what Bhiksha you want, I'll give you. He says, I want your Vishnu Kavach. Couldn't say no, Maharaja couldn't say no. So he gave his Vishnu Kavacham and he became vulnerable. The moment he became vulnerable, indeed, Lord Shiva's trident hurt him. Even though it wasn't intended to hurt him, because he became vulnerable, Lord Shiva's Trishulam hurt him. Instantly, what did he do? While he was doing this, Vishnu, double character. At the same time, Vishnu comes in a different form. He's coming to Tulasi's quarters where she's staying, as if he's returning from battle. In what disguise? Disguised as Shankachuda returning from the battlefield. Okay, so he comes, everybody receives him because he has won the battle, and Tulasi is very happy that her husband has come back victorious. And when the story goes that he says, well, they didn't even tangle with me, he says. This is the story that Vishnu makes up. He says, oh, we didn't even have to really engage in battle, everything got resolved. No problem. All through discussions itself, everything got resolved. We didn't have to get into combat. And so Tulasi, Shankachuda, disguised Shankachuda is brought into Tulasi's inner apartments, and it was night time, and Vishnu behaves the way a husband would behave to a wife. At that moment, Tulasi felt something is wrong here. I just don't think this is my husband. He looks like my husband, but he is not. So she pulls away from him. She feels defiled by now and curses him. Says, who do you think you are? You can do this to me. I know you're not my husband. And then Lord Vishnu changes his form from Shankachuda and reveals himself. Now what is this poor lady to do? And from past birth and this birth, she has been wanting to become Narayana's wife. And this is the way Narayana comes to him. But look at that woman. He says, I realize my tapas has been for attaining you. But in this janma, I am the dharma patni of Shankachuda. What you did was wrong. What you did. And yet she's crying because this is the form that this is the person she's been wanting all the time to have. But what he did was wrong, right? So that reasoning took over and she cursed him and said, may you be reduced to a stone, Pashana. That is our Shaligrama of today. Such a low level of consciousness is a stone. It is such a low level that a woman's chastity could make Lord Vishnu be rendered into. Okay. She wasn't interested in living anymore because she felt defiled. So what she did, she produced this phenomenon called self-combustion, whereby you produce heat and fire from within. And she killed herself in the own fire that she created. She killed herself, that's why she's called a sati. Because sati means they kill themselves, She killed herself. And Mahavishnu, seeing this phenomenon, felt something great had taken place and said, her death will not go in vain. And therefore, she will continue to live. How? Her body will be the Gandaki river, which is in Nepal area. And her hair will be all the Tulasi plants all over the world, famous for puja. And in this way she will continue to live. She will not die. There will be a change. And in that Gandaki, by the Gandaki river are the mountains, certain mountains. And what happens is, from the mountain, there is an insect, not an insect, it's a mollusk, that goes there and eats away bits and bits of the mountain, and it crumbles and falls into the Gandaki river. And in the water it rolls and rolls and rolls and forms what is called our Shaligrama. Okay. So you see what happened. So after this took place, it is said that the subtle Sukshma Rupa of Tulasi ascends into Goloka with Sri Krishna, and she remains in this subtle form by the side of Sri Krishna along with Radha and all other consorts and lovers and devotees of Sri Krishna. And what happens to Shankachuda? Because at the moment when the Trishulam hit him and he died, they cremated him right there on the battlefield and they threw his ashes into the ocean. And from that we have, the story goes, the entire array of seashells. Okay, and that is why the seashell, the shell is worshipped very much in Vaishnava pujas, but very strict Shaiva pujas will not use seashell because it hurts Shiva to see what had taken place. So the story goes that he has said, I do not want this to be used for my worship, according to this Purana. Okay? So you have to always qualify that, because I don't want you to take it as a blanket statement. Okay? According to this Purana, it says, I don't want to be worshipped by the Shankar because it hurts to see what happened to my devotee. So thou shalt not use it for worshipping me. But he also, in the subtle form, goes to Goloka and stays with Sri Krishna. That's how the story, and that is how we believe that by doing this Kalyanam, we are bringing these two together, because Sri Krishna is the first person who did puja to Tulasi, and he desired to see her in the form that he said that she will be a plant. So he comes down into the mortal world and he starts worshipping Tulasi. He's the first one to worship Tulasi, and he uses the name Vrinda, Vrindavani, Pushpasara, Vishwapujita, Vishwapavani, Nandini, Tulasi, Krishna Jivani. These are the eight names, okay, with which. And her mantra is Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Aim Vrindavanyai Swaha is the Tulasi mantra, okay. So this is the, in very short form, the Tulasi story. But apart from that, if the children are not feel, so what's so special about Tulasi? You know, a plant is a plant is a plant, a stone is a stone is a stone. Okay, good news. Tulasi, you know, all plants are sacred in that sense. God created you, they are sacred, but some are more sacred. Okay? Like some human beings are better human beings, and you see the divinity more in those human beings. It's not that, you know, some people are divine and some people are not. All human beings, God is there in everybody, but you see God more in some others than you see. Like that, the Tulasi and Ashwatha and all are favored as more sacred trees. And research has shown that the level of oxygen released by Tulasi early morning is one of the highest amount of oxygen within a certain radius, and there is electromagnetic forces operating within 5-yard circumference of Tulasi plants. Okay, and of course the Ayurveda people will tell you ever so many usages with Tulasi to cure ulcers, cure earaches, all kinds of highly medicinal plant. Okay, that we cherish and give it not only a story to back it by, but also a very useful plant. Very sacred, very useful plant, you know. And on the other hand, how about Shaligrama? Just recently, I found out that the Shaligramam is a 65 million year old fossil because of this mollusk called ammonite that takes its residence, or took its residence because it's already a fossil inside this. And based on the different designs and everything, there are so many kinds of shaligramas and so many colors of shaligramas. But just imagine 65 million years it has remained that way. So it becomes, even not only for archaeologists, for common people also, this becomes a very precious stone that needs to be preserved. Okay, and so even when you bring it down to our level, it is not an ordinary stone. Although many of the shaligrams that we have, I'm not so sure they are really shaligram, because now this has become an industry in India. So how do we know which is a shaligram? So any stone that's nicely put into the tumbler and made nice, black and smooth is given off as a shaligram. We have to accept it because we don't know any better. But yeah, that's not so. It's a specific stone found in the Gandaki river only that contains this mollusk form called ammonite. Okay, so with that, we moving away from the story and the significance of these plants. Kalyanam, see, today's the particular reason for doing Kalyanam happens to be today's Dwadashi, Kartika Dwadashi, Shukla Dwadashi. Today is the day celebrated for Tulasi's marriage to Sri Krishna, so it became very nice to do that marriage. Now, the symbolism of a marriage is that it is a sacrifice. It's called Prajapati Yajna, for the purpose of increasing your offspring, continuing your line of ancestry. This is one of the main reasons of the ceremony, is that we remember that the purpose of this, we are connected by 7 generations to our ancestors. Whether we like our ancestors or not, it doesn't matter. Those ancestors are working through us, through our genes, scientifically speaking. They're working through our genes. Now you can say, I don't like genes, but too bad, it's still working. You may not like it. It's the same thing with the ancestors. You may not like your ancestors, but a portion of them is working. And to make that smooth and efficient, one of the things that the ceremonies we have is a marriage ceremony, which becomes a very, very special ceremony. Okay, and as in every marriage, you have a boy side and a girl side. So the boy side is Shaligrama Narayana side on this side, and the girl side is Tulasi's side. Now see, today's ceremony is a mixture in the sense is there are just some things we can do, because this is not really a human being. 2 human beings are getting married. Plus, this is Shaligrama is worshipped as Narayana and Tulasi is worshipped as a Devi. So we have some restrictions. So you don't do entirely the way it is done in a human wedding. But some of the human elements you will see, and today we have selected the Sri Lankan Tamil way as much as possible in doing this. And one of the ideas is, look, we are all living in a time when things are moving very fast. And we all have desires for our children, for our younger brothers, for our sisters. I can guarantee you that in the future what's going to happen is we're not going to be blessed with all our desires as saying, okay, all my desires are answered. That blessing will not get. That's guaranteed. Some of it we will get, but all of it, no. Our children are moving at a faster rate than us. And if we all are entertaining all kinds of desires, oh, I wish my daughter, I wish my son will. Question mark. Be prepared. I wish well for everybody. But my job here is to be a shock absorber. Okay? That's my job. I would like to have the feeling I have made some iota of a difference in your life. When you come to a situation you find, especially with regard to marriage, things are not going the way you would like. Fine. Your daughter is Tulasi. Your son is Narayana. Put all your desires right there. Thou shalt not be disappointed. Dhanapanam is a work written by one humble poet called Pundanam. He wrote that on the 28th day of his first child was born. After the 28th day is an important day after birth in Kerala. And the child was being named and some ceremony and all are going. And what happens in those days, the Nambudiri Strees, the ladies, what they do is They wear a dhoti and then they wear another dhoti on that top. So this, for the sake of modesty, they will keep it when they are moving around. But when they come into the inner apartments where it's only ladies, they will throw that off. Okay, so what did they do? They threw it right on top of the cradle in which the baby was. And the baby died. And it was at that moment that triggered Jnanapanam to write this, Modanam to write this work called Jnanapanam. He said, what am I lamenting about having lost my son? Sri Krishna himself is my son. You see what I'm saying? Look at the shock absorber he built for himself. Of course it must have been devastating to have to see his child die that day, right? But look at the shock absorber he has made himself. Sri Krishna is my son. When Sri Krishna himself is my son, this Manasika Putra of mine, why am I going crazy over this physical son that was born to me? Connected by so many, but don't know whose son he was last birth. Was he mine? Did I cry for him then? Is he going to be mine next birth? Will I cry for him? It's so temporary, all of this. They put only a temporary value, he put only a temporary value. So too, when it comes to a marriage, I know we all come with this, loaded with our culture into this country. We want so many things to happen, but if we are really truthful to ourselves, every step of the way we are being told. No. Teaching you, don't hold on to it, right? Life is teaching us, don't hold on to that. If it happens, well and good. But to wish for it so strongly, we're already making our way for disappointment. So put it here, all your thoughts, all your ambitions, all your identifications. Narayana is your son. Tulasi is your daughter. Do whatever you want and wish today for some child other than yours, that child will have a happy life. I am making a special request that when we do this puja at that time, concretely think of another girl, of another boy, not your children, and I wish that girl will have, I hope she, all of us want well of everybody, we want people to be happy. May I wish that child to have, this is going to be hard because you'd much rather wish for your own kids. Move away from, be sure somebody will wish for your child. I will wish for everybody's children here and everybody's sons and daughters. Okay, you'll get covered, but for once, move away from your own children, wish for somebody else that they get a good marriage, because indeed, you can have all the best careers in your world. Careers may go up and down, but if your marriage is strong, you know that is the greatest strength. Look at Tulasi. Look at the power she had because of her chastity. We don't need to go any further. You can have the best careers in the world, but if your marriage isn't working, nothing takes the place. So let's wish everybody well, and we'll start with the, first of all, the bathing on the boys' side, and then the girls' side. They're almost pretty ready, boys' side here, girls' side there, and then I'll kind of let you on what the ceremony is going to be. The one mantra that you can inside you feel like reciting will be Om Shri Tulasi Narayanaya Namaha. So you just add the word Narayana, Om Shri Tulasi Narayanaya Namaha, constantly in your mind, so that you're not thinking in different directions, okay? So that will start. Boys' side is getting ready, and those who are in charge of music, you can go ahead and do the appropriate music. From Gaya, and the boy arrives to the girl's house, and Murali is going to stay right there. Murali, come around and wash the feet here, just the milk, and better get ready with what's coming to the boy's side. No, boy has to give a moment. Okay, this is the one to give him. He has it. Oh, he has it. He has it. Okay. Now you can move away, and your papa is going to come and put the garland for the welcoming the bridegroom to the house.
கொடுங்க. Okay, now what we are going to do is sankalpam about the marriage. So both sides you have to take some arisi eduthu kaiyila vechi konjam thanni sankalpam. Okay. Take it in your left hand and put your left hand on top of your left thigh and cover with your right hand. This is the purpose. We are going to announce the purpose of the marriage. So you can repeat after me, both of you. I'm going to break it so somebody else can keep her company. ரெண்டு பேரும் பேச பேலன்ஸ் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. You state the place, time and everything. Okay. Om Tat Sat Vishnu 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 Adyoho Namaha Paramatmane Shri Purana Purushottama Adya Shri Brahmane Vidiyadhe Shri Shweta Varaha Kalpe Vaivasvata Manvantare Ashtavimshati Tame Kali Yuge Kali Prathama Charane America Deshe Kapilaranye which is Palmdale, right? Palmdale Punya Nagare Brahmadhi Samvatsare
दक्षिणायने कार्तिकमासे शुक्लपक्षे द्वादशी तिथौ शनिवारे रेवती नक्षत्रे श्रुति स्मृति पुराणोक्त प्राप्त्यर्थम महा पापनाशमन पूर्वक श्री यज्ञ पुरुष नारायण प्रीत्यर्थम श्री तुलसी नारायण विवाह पूजा करिष्ये எல்லாரும் சொன்னா ததாஸ்து அப்படியே இருக்கட்டும் ததாஸ்து. You can also put it here. And then we are going to do Ganesha Puja. Ganesha is here. Now, if you know the verses, you can go ahead and join in those verses. ஒரு பழம் வேணா. So maybe you can put the போடுறீங்களா நீங்க? நான் சொல்லிட்டு போடுறோம். I know she loves to look at it, but we have to tell normally then at this time the boy would have on his wrist the thread tied. And I think they remove it after a certain number of days, Alava. They are not allowed to remove it immediately. And the girl gets we're not going to have a real big fancy home. We just namesake on the Nerupur as a witness.
Plastic
While they put the name, some of you may know, but I'm just going to give a filler, okay? You know those 5 things that are basic for puja, no? Panchopacharam they say, right? That is what? You tell me. Water, flower, water, flower. That means in the form of a lamp or something. Fine. Then agarbatti. No, chandan. Okay, fine. So these 5 is the minimum things that we have. In that, the flower represents Agasha Tattva. Agasha. But see, our materials that made this world, all the things that are made in the world, when it is resolved, it resolves itself into the 5 Tattva and afterwards into the Mahar Tattva, between creation. அப்ப அந்த ஆகாச தத்துவத்துக்கு பூ, அப்புறம் தண்ணி ஜல தத்துவமே, ஓகே, ஜல தத்துவத்துக்கு, அப்புறம் சந்தனம் is பிருத்வி தத்துவம். Prithvina, even in Mars we have Prithvi, by the way. Prithvi is also in Mars. We always think it's the earth alone, but it's the ground, the support is Prithvi. So in Mars also it is called Prithvi. The Chandanam represents that. And then Udupati represents Agasha Tattva. Vayu Tattva is Udupati, Vayu Tattva. And Nerupa is Agni Tattva. So did we finish all 5? So all the 5. Fruit and everything becomes Amritama. So those 5 things are the basic. first one is a small, you did very small one. First one is a prayer to Agni Devadar. Okay, because he's the first one here pleasing. Mukam samasta devanam pandavojnana dahakam pujitam sarva yajneshu agnim avaviyamyaham. Next one is for Narayana. Sahasrashisham devam vishwaksham vishwasambhavam vishwam narayanam devam aksharam paramam padam vishwada paramam nityam vishwam narayanadvam harim vishwamevedam purushastat vishwam upajivati patim vishwasyotasvaregam shashvadadvam shivamachyudam narayanam mahatnyam vishwasmanam parayanam narayanam parabrahma tattvam narayanam para narayana paro jyoti atma narayana para narayana paro dhata narayana para yaccha kinchit jagadyasmin krishyate suyate piva antir pakhyasya paritta narayana jagat sarvam vyapa narayana sthirah anantam avyayam kavim samudvayantam vishvashambhuvam padmavoshe pratikasham gvam hridayam chapyadhomutam Narayana Namah Sri Tulasi Narayana Namah. Okay, now 5 and hold that plan that way. I need about 4 more ladies to sit. I need from both sides. And you have to hold this throughout the Sri Sukta. Okay, because I understand this is how this goes. I mean, for those of you who may not know, I got help. Okay, as your paper will show, I got help. I'm not talking as if I'm an authority on this. Okay, I'm just giving you what was. This is supposed to be the Murukutri, which of course we have now only a rose with munda. Navadanyam, not to 1 week before this would have been planted, and this will be taken to the bride's residence. And the way this tree is going to grow will determine how that marriage is going to be. Okay, so we wish them well. 5 ladies hold it and we read in the Sri Sukta. Om Hiranyavarnam Harinim Suvarna Rajadasrajam Chandram Hiranmayim Lakshmim Jadavedo Mahavah Tama Avaha Jalasapido Lakshmi Manapadaminim Yasyam Indeyam Hiranyam Yasyam Indeyam Purushanaham Ashwapurvam Rathamadhyam Hastinada Pravodhinim Shriyam Devim Pakwe Srimadevi Yushatam Kam Sosmayam Hiranya Prakaram Atram Jalantim Kristam Takpayantim Padme Sthitam Padmavarnam Swami Mokakwe Shriyam Chandram Prabhasam Yashasar Jalantim Shriyam Loke Deva Jittamudaram Tam Padmanemim Sharanamaham Pravatye Lakshmi Me Nashyatam Tvam Rene Aditya Varne Tapaso Nijato Vanaspatistava Vrikshota Vilvah Tasya Balani Tapasa Nadantu Mayantarayasya Bhagya Alakshmi Upaitumam Devasagaha Kirtischa Manunasaha Pradurbhodosmi Rashtrasmin Kirti Vridhimscha Datartume Chutpipasa Malam Deksha Malakshmi Nashayamaham Abhudim Asamrityamcha Sarvan Nirmudamekahat Gandhatvaram Duradasham Pushtam Kailishini Isharim Sarva Bhutanam Kamiho Pakvaye Shriyam Manasak Kama Makudim Vacha Satyamasimahi Ashunam Rupamanyasya Mahi Sri Shreyadam Yashaha Tattamena Prajabhuta Mahi Sambhavataddamam Sriyam Vasya Mekule Tattamalini Apasvijantu Snigani Chitam Masakhe Grihe Devi Mataram Sriyam Vasya Mekule Atra Pushkalinim Yashtim Pingalam Padmamalinim Chandram Hiranmayim Lakshmim Jatavedo Maavaha Adram Adram Pushkarinim Pushtim Pingalam Hemamalinim Suvarnam Hemamalinim Suryam Hiranmayim Lakshmim Jatavedo Maavah Tama Avah Jatavedo Lakshmi Manapagaminim Yasyam Hiranyam Vindeyam Dasoshwan Purushanaham. Okay, with the home finished. I will see next one is okay. Like a grape or something? சின்ன grape மாதிரி ஏதாவது இருக்கா? இல்லையா? ரொம்ப சின்னதா இல்லைன்னா பரவாயில்ல பரவாயில்ல பரவாயில்ல. I'll just put some here. Inside here. Raisin இருந்தாலும் போய்.
Raisins.
Okay. Actually, we can put it on the other side. Today, though, you can partake of those grains, okay? After this will be the announcement. We'll announce who this boy is, and it's repeated 3 times as to who that boy is, and then only the Kanyadana is going to take place. Of this boy. Asya varasya pita Vasudeva. Asya varasya pitamaha Shuraha, his grandfather. Asya varasya prapitamaha, his great grandfather, is Devamitaha. I will believe this. There are 3 names as to who his father is. Grandfather is great grandfather. Asya varasya pita Vasudeva. Asya varasya pitamaha Shuraha. Asya varasya prapitamaha Devamitaha. Asya varasya pita Vasudevah. Asya varasya pitamaha Shuraha. Asya varasya prapitamaha Devamitaha. Okay? And now the word is going to be taken. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಥಕ್ಕೆ போய் ಅವಳ ಚೇಂಜ್ பண்ணிடுவாங்க. Right. Okay, now we actually the boys have you have to be there, I have to be there, you love that, it's all 3 have to work, so we have to squeeze ourselves to the
Yeah. There are boxes and boxes raised.
I will just anoint the hands and say, And I will assume this is his right hand. And somewhere here with her, this will be, okay, this will be her right hand. Just symbolically, maybe just touch the leaf. You can just touch the leaf, and you can touch, just make sure you just touch it, that's all. What happens at this point, which we cannot do because this is a plant and Shaligramam, where the girl's hand and the boy's hand are now together. And in this case, because it's a Shaligramam, we are asked to keep a Shankara because this represents Sudama. Without this, it would not happen. So we will keep this in the front. Imam Kanyam, Lakshmi Rupam, Vrindavani, Tulasi, Namnam, Sri Narayana, Gotraya, Sri Shaligrama, Krishna, Nama, Varaya, Vishnu Rupaya, Patni, Avena, Ichitam, Yudhyam, Aham, Samprapade. That is giving the girl over. And now we can use the groom has to say, Om, that's that. This is the, he will say that. Om, Kodat, Kasmadat, Kamodat, Kamayadat, Kamo, Data, Kamaha, Pratigrihita, Kaumadatte. Okay, everybody say Tatastu. So now the girl is given to him, and now whatever she has to wear, we'll have to take it. She's going to go with ready with her next. So இப்போ பாட்டு போடலாம் ஏதாவது பாட்டு போடலாம் really? Yeah, you can do it. Our dress பண்ணணும். Somebody has to wear it. பம்பு தூக்கி அங்க பாட்டு போனோம். Dress பண்றதுக்கு she is leaving now. And the bridegroom will be waiting. When is she going to come back? It's taking so long. Yeah. Now she will be wearing the clothes given from the bridegroom side. No? Up to then she was wearing what was given by her family. I found in an old Sanskritam book, before she decides to sit on the right side, she gives conditions. Said if you agree to fulfill all these conditions, then I will sit on the right side. For instance, thou shalt not make fun of me in front of my friends. And if I have to go visit my mother's home, you shouldn't say no, you cannot go. Things like the cute little things. Under those conditions, I will come and sit on your right hand side. But we're not doing any of that. அப்ப மாலை எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் பண்ணனும். வரமாலை எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிட்டு மாலை போடுறோம். Okay. Okay. Now Murali, wait a minute. Okay. Sita, you can take one malai. அதான் first நீங்க போடுங்க. அது நீங்க போடுங்க. Okay. போட்ட அப்புறம் பாட்டு பாட சொல்லுங்க. Okay, Murali, go ahead. Take the chamala one. Turn on now.
You get a good view here on the other side. You get to the other side, you get a better view, I think. You know?
Close it now, only the Swami. Oh, I'm sorry. There. You can bring it.
All of them get a chance to grow.
Not very clear.
only one mistake.
Not tasty.
You have to take it. No, it's second.
Okay, start. Wait.
மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டாயே மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டாயே மாலை மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டாயே அடி மாலை மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டாயே அடி மாலை மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டாயே அடி மாலை ஜன்மமதி சுமீதி நீராடி மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டாயே அடி மாலை ஜன்மமதி சுமீதி நீராடி மன்மதனுக்கு மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டு மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டு மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டு மாலைதனை கை பிடித்து மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டு மாலைதனை கை பிடித்து கலக்க நூற்று கிடைத்ததே பாக்யவதி கலக்க நூற்று கிடைத்ததே பாக்யவதி மன்மதனுக்கு மாலையிட்டாயே அடி மாலே ஜன்மமதி சுகீதி நீராடி மன்மதனுக்கு
So the next one is Saptapadi. It just means 7 steps. And the 7 steps are important. அப்புறம் அந்த நெருப்புக்கு சுத்தி போறது. But not 7 times as much as 7 steps because the rule is இந்த கால் வச்ச அப்புறம் அந்த காலோட இடத்துல இந்த கால் வைக்கணும்னு அர்த்தம். அப்படி 7 steps which we cannot do here. So எப்படி பண்றது? நீங்க வைக்க ஐடியாஸ் இது சுத்தணும். அக்ஷரம் எடுத்து அப்படி நீங்க ரெண்டா காமிச்சு why don't you represent the boys side, no? Why don't you I'll see at my head. She has even a better idea. பாருங்களேன் கை இப்படி வச்சு come here 1 2 3 4 to both of them are coming, okay? that we do in the family. And sixth is to preserve wealth and work for knowledge. Wealth of knowledge and regular wealth. And the seventh is to be for each other throughout all the seasons. To be there for each other. Those are the seven Saptapadi. And now, after that, she is, the group will take the bride and have her step on a Karikale.
Yeah, she picked it from me.
Suggesting that she be firm like that Karikal firm and the courage. So it has to be according to some, they are taken out to see the Arundhati, or some people take to the Dhruva star to bring about both. If it is Dhruva star, it is a direction in life. Direction one, yeah. Other determined must have a proper direction in life. If it is Arundhati, then it is to be faithful like Arundhati. And the Sankalpa Manasala Manajate, I will do I so they have then finished that and அடுத்தது ஊஞ்சல் நமக்கு இல்லை but அந்த நேரத்தில் I am suggesting that everyone come and do pradakshina because after all this is Sandikama, Narayana and Tulasi is not just an ordinary bride and bridegroom, so we can all one by one make a pradakshina, offer flower and namaskaram. அப்போ அந்த ஊஞ்சல் பாட்டு போடலாம். Any ideas that we shall implement it as long as we can do it, no problem. I think they have been fasting and they eat then only that pal and padam. They have been fasting, isn't it? The bride and bridegroom fast.
yeah.
And that's the first food they get is that milk and actually, when
இல்ல, பால், பழம்.
for my daughter-in-law's daughter, even we had to fast. The ones who were giving away the daughter also had to fast. And by the time at 3 o'clock, they didn't even know it was what hunger. Then you eat food, food is hungry. Oh, yeah. சுத்தி வந்துட்டு அப்புறம் சுத்தி வந்து it'll be nice if you take a photo like this, go over the person's head and then drop.
Yes.
அதற்கு பசியா இருக்கிறச்சா உனக்கு தான் அந்த கொஞ்சம்
அதே தத்து போறீங்க அதுல தூக்கி வச்சுக்கோங்க.
அப்பதான் you are going to be serious. Water is going there. ஸ்ரீமந்துளசி அம்மா திருவே கல்யாணி அம்மா வெள்ளிக்கிழமை மாதாவே செவ்வாய்க்கிழமை சைக்கு வந்த செல்திருவே தாயாரே நான் உந்தன் காலிலையில் நான் பணிந்தேன் ஸ்ரீமன் துளசி அம்மா திருவே கல்யாணி அம்மா வெள்ளிக்கிழமை விளங்குகின்ற மாதாவே பச்சை பசுமையுள்ள துளசி நமஸ்தே பரிமளிக்கும் மூல கொழுந்தே நமஸ்தே பச்சை பசுமையுள்ள துளசி நமஸ்தே பரிமளிக்கும் மூல கொழுந்தே நமஸ்தே அற்ப பிறவாய் தவிப்பாய் நமஸ்தே அஷ்டைஸ்வர்யம் அளிப்பாய் நமஸ்தே ஸ்ரீமன் துளசி அம்மா திருவே கல்யாணி அம்மா வெள்ளிக்கிழமை விளங்குகின்ற மாதாவே ஹரியுடைய தேவி அழகி நமஸ்தே அடைந்தார்க்கு இன்பம் அழிப்பாய் நமஸ்தே ஹரியுடைய தேவி அழகி நமஸ்தே அடைந்தார்க்கு இன்பம் அழிப்பாய் நமஸ்தே வனமாலை என்னும் உறவே நமஸ்தே வைகுண்டவாசியுடன் மகிழ்வாய் நமஸ்தே ஸ்ரீமன் துளசி அம்மா திருவே கல்யாணி அம்மா வெள்ளிக்கிழமை விளங்குகின்ற மாதாவே இனி ஒண்ணு நாராயணன் இருக்கு நாராயண ஜெய நாராயண ஜெய நாராயண ஜெய நாராயண 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 कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि बोलो श्री तुलसी नारायण की जय बोलो श्री तुलसी नारायण की जय बोलो श्री तुलसी नारायण की जय But I'm specifically telling you, I'm looking after the young people here. In a marriage, I know you are getting married to the boy or the girl, but it's not that. It's more than that. A marriage is an opportunity for the entire family to get some pleasure out of it. So yield. That's the best thing young people can do in a marriage ceremony. Yield. Let the two families fight over whatever should be done, rituals, whatever and everything. You just bend and do and touch people's feet. Do all of that stuff even if it breaks your back, because when you are finished, those blessings are going to go ahead of you in your life. You are going like this in your life. But by participating in a marriage ceremony that satisfies both families, what happens is those blessings are ahead of you. And when you go in your life doing whatever you're doing, those blessings will come. The blessings of the elderly, the blessings of your parents, the blessings of your teachers are not to be underestimated. You know, in this day and age, and everything is so oriented in a different way, we forget the past. You're thinking always so much in the front, but the past has so much a blessing to give. So I humbly ask the younger people here to think twice when you get married. Yield to them. Let them have fun over your marriage, okay? Allow them to have those joys, okay? And I thank you, all of you, particularly the host, for doing all this. It's so much of work. You notice here I have a few names that I have especially thanked, but I forgot one person who is not here. Very important, because she gave her home shaligramam to be done. Using, she's gone to India. Yeah. Thank you very much for allowing that to happen. You know, so when you take home, this is a qualified bridegroom you're taking home today. He's a man who's been honored a lot. Okay, so I appreciate all of you for having participated so joyfully. May all weddings that take place in your families have the same amount of joy that we have today. This is my humble wish. I wish you all the best. And next is Bhojanam. Chapati. Can pannidu. Panni already. Allu paatonnilla. Bhojanam. Mangalam. Mangalam paatunda. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. After everybody comes back, you can tell her to do
Hello, sweetie. How are you? I wish the next wedding in town will be yours.
Yeah, Yeah, greet me. Nice, Amma.
I already took.
Yeah,
Cuma surakra lah lah. Oh.
Win the game.
It's so funny.
What? What? One wants to know about the game.
Stop it.